What's going on, my fellow Guardians? Your dude Sly here, and welcome back to part 3 of my Grasp of Avarice dungeon guide. In parts 1 and 2, we covered the intro, the two main mechanics of the dungeon, as well as the Sparrow race, and of course the man cannon servitor bombs. Here in part 3, however, we are going to be diving into the main event, the final boss fight against an angry fallen captain named Avarokk the Covetous. Now this fight takes place within Wilhelms' Hoard, a large colony pod that the Fallen love to use, and I think for a dungeon, it's kind of a perfect boss fight, a mix of fairly easy mechanics that any team can accomplish at 1310 and a slight bump in difficulty at the higher level. But for a dungeon, overall I think Grasp of Avarice nails it in terms of what, a dungeon is supposed to be, a halfway easy team event. In any case, let's go ahead and cut the chat and dive right in. To start things off, let's talk about loadouts and subclasses, and then we'll dive into the main mechanics. We'll then wrap things up by setting the fight into motion and grabbing some sweet loot at the end. So as for weapons, y'all, right now it seems that linear fusions are still the go-to. With the seasonal damage buff from particle deconstruction, linear fusions are just too good to pass up. However, there are some cool things in the works with Argent Ordnance, the Gallowhorn Catalyst, and the seasonal rocket launcher Ascendancy. It looks like if one person has the G-Horn Catalyst and the rest of the team uses Ascendancy with Argent Ordnance, you can pump out some awesome damage with enough stacks of light and orbs. But for now, you can do plenty of damage with good old Threaded Needle or another favorite linear fusion rifle. Hell, even Sleeper isn't too bad of a choice, so that is totally up to you. Just be sure to maximize your ammo by applying linear fusion ammo mods. As for primary and secondary weapons, again, you can't go wrong with an SMG or shotgun for your primary, and for secondary, you can use Vex Mythoclast or Cartesian Coordinate. This way you can trigger particle deconstruction with your secondary weapon to get max damage with your heavy on all your shots instead of sacrificing your first heavy shot to trigger the mod. Not really that big of a deal, but any extra damage added makes a big difference after a few rounds. Moving on to subclasses, I would say the biggest benefit for this fight would be a Warlock Well with Lunafactions. Ward of Dawn also helps out, of course, but once you leave the bubble, you're out of damage protection, so that's where a Well shines. I would only use one of the two if you have a choice. If you have a Warlock Well, then the other teammates should be using damage supers like Golden Gun, Superman Striker, stuff like that. If you have multiple Warlocks, then of course Nova Bomb or Chaos Reach with the appropriate exotics will work well. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the mechanics of this boss fight. Now it's actually a relatively simple fight, but there are ways to speed things up considerably. However, let's take the simple approach. So around the walls you're going to see these cargo container looking things. I think they're meant to house stasis pods for space travel, but they're a little bigger than I remember. Regardless of what they are, they contain those exotic engrams that we've been picking up throughout the dungeon. Along the scaffolding in the middle of this area, you're going to notice two of those orb charging stations, which I'll just call switches from here on out. These switches trigger the containers to tip over and drop the exotic engrams, and of course to do that you're going to need a Scorch Cannon since there are no orbs in this dungeon. The Scorch Cannon Vandal will appear at the very front of the map over there on the ground. Of course, just like the other times, just take him out and let the Scorch Cannon chill on the ground for a bit until you need it. So when the fight begins, there will be three things in the center platform that you need to be aware of. First, Avarokk the boss, and then two other Fallen. One of them will be an invisible Vandal, and the other is a Sniper Shank. Both the Vandal and the Shank are yellow bar elites, and they are fairly tanky, so be sure to take them out first. Once you do, you then want to grab the Scorch Cannon and shoot a charge into one of the switches on the center scaffold. Doing this will activate the cargo pods to drop the exotic engrams. Now be sure to split up into left, middle, and right, so you can grab as many of the engrams as possible before they disappear. Now as you see here, we two-man this guy my first run through while we were learning how all this stuff works. So it is totally possible to grab middle engrams as well as one of the sides by yourself, as you don't really need three people, but of course it always helps. Once you collect as many engrams as possible, each teammate should have something like 9 to 10 engrams each. You now need to deposit them into the crystal altar, and it is located within the center of this map, right next to the boss. You can do this one at a time, or just YOLO it and everyone go at once. Once you make it to the crystal, drop a Warlock Rift or a Titan Barricade, so that way you can survive the boss shooting at you. Once all engrams are deposited, you then just simply repeat that process. Take out the Vandal and the Sniper Shank in the middle, along with the adds on the left and right side. Grab the Scorch Cannon to activate the cargo containers, then grab the exotics to deposit them. Once you deposit 60 exotics into the crystal, the boss will then be vulnerable and it is time for damage. Like normal boss damage, you simply drop a well of Ward of Dawn Titan Bubble, throw grenades, and then go to town. Proc your particle deconstruction by using your secondary weapon like Vex Mythoclast or a fusion rifle, and then empty your linear fusion rifle heavy into him, or if you're going the rocket launcher route, be careful that you don't shoot the crystal or the back of your teammate's head and then kill yourself, because you will not only die, but you'll also lose your Argent Ordnance buff and stacks of light, which will drastically lower your damage, so make sure you be careful. A full fire team that gets their shots off early can easily one-phase this guy. This is probably one of the easier bosses in any of the dungeons, but no matter how much damage you do, the boss fight itself is relatively quick and easy, so no big deal either way. Once Avarokk is down, grab your loot, and congrats my friend, you just beat the new 30th anniversary dungeon, Grasp of Avarice. Be sure to talk to the dead guardian in the back so you can continue your Gjallarhorn quest if this was your first run through. Besides, it's cool dialogue nonetheless. But yeah, that's it y'all. Thank you all so much for watching and for supporting my channel, Sly Nation. Keep an eye out as I'll have guides outlining all the dungeon collectible recordings coming out here soon as well. I just have to pick up 2 more that I couldn't find, and I'll be uploading that here soon. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed my 3-part dungeon guide, and I hope that it helps you get through it with ease. If you're new to my channel, then welcome Guardian, and thank you so much for stopping by. Subscribe for plenty more Destiny 2 30th anniversary videos, guides, and walkthroughs. Spank the thumbs up or down if you liked, loved, or hated this video, and if you wish to get in touch, business or otherwise, feel free to hit me up, SlyNationGaming67@gmail.com, or check me out over on the socials. At Sly_Nation on Twitter, Sly Nation Gaming on good old Facebook. Take care, y'all, and keep an eye out for plenty more halfway decent Destiny 2 guides coming out here soon. But until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll see you all next time.